When I first saw my guest on today's podcast, I thought, oh my God, that guitar is attacking that little girl because the guitar was gigantic and the little girl behind it was so tiny. When she started to speak, I thought, oh, listen to this. This is almost the cutest thing I've ever heard in my life. Then she started to sing. It wasn't very long before I could tell that there was something there, and it was very exciting to watch. I think that was almost 10 years ago. Her name is Hailey Benedict, and she's agreed to be my guest today.
Reluctantly.
Today's show is brought to you by HaileyBenedictMusic.com. Hailed as the future star of country music by City TV, Hailey Benedict introduces her new chapter with the single Things My Mama Says. It's her first release since signing with Big Loud Records and Local Hay.
Reluctantly.
Hello. Hi, Terry. Thanks for that intro. That's so kind. And I can't believe it's been over 10 years now. That's crazy.
It's just coming up on 10 years. It was,
Wow.
if I remember correctly, it was February of 2015.
Right. At Dave Wynn's fundraiser, right?
That's right. It was it was the fundraiser for Constables Wynn and Bond, who were tragically killed in the line of duty, and I was hosting the event all day that day, and you were one of the performers. Among other things, it was very chaotic, and it was just a din of sound and a wall of activity throughout the entire day. And there you were, and you really stuck out. And as a matter of fact, you know what? I'm just going to play it because I'll tell you the story after I play it. Okay.
Okay.
So here it comes. Listen to this.
Oh boy.
My name is Hailey, and this song it's called "Dare to Be a Hero," and I wrote it in honor of Constable Wynn and Constable Bond, and for the community of St. Albert. And he was my dare officer last year, and he taught me how to be our own hero. So that's what this song is about. White ribbons hang from up above. Love spreads from tree to tree. They symbolize the service of those protecting me.
That was February of 2015.
Wow, what a throwback. Yeah, that guitar definitely was attacking me then. I think it was almost bigger than me. So.
I didn't really pay attention to what kind of guitar it was at the time. I don't know what it was. I don't know if that's the guitar that you got for that Christmas, or if it was something else.
Yeah, so I think it was my Taylor 214. And then at that fundraiser, there was a Luke Bryan signed guitar, and I had this bet going on with my dad that he didn't know I actually recorded him, and I still actually have the recording. But he said it one night and was like half joking, saying that, if I learned to play Crazy Train on the electric guitar by the time I was 12, that he would buy me an electric guitar. And I am not one to back away from a challenge. So I learned it on my acoustic guitar, which would have been that Taylor, which was way too big for me. And then I learned it, and then there was this guitar at the fundraiser at the silent auction, and so I was like, Dad, like you promised, and so he ended up getting it, and that was how I got my first electric guitar. But that fundraiser was such a special day, and to come together for the community, there was just so much love and support in St. Albert, and getting to meet people like yourself and my friend Bobby Cameron was huge part in all that too. So it was, a really special day to come together.
Well, that recording that we just heard, that was from my recording that I put on Facebook.
Right.
And that's how Bobby Cameron
That's right.
was introduced to you. And then
Crazy.
Bobby contacted me and then wanted to start, seeing if there was an opportunity to possibly work with you. So I put him in contact with your parents, and there you
There
go.
you go.
So
Yeah, that really, as I had never recorded any music up until then. And that song, it was one of the first songs I ever recorded. It was called Dare to Be a Hero, because Constable Lynn was one of my school resource officers. And
mhm.
when he passed away, it was such a tragic shock to the whole community. And so I turned to music, and I knew I wanted to write something or do something with how I was feeling and give back in some way. So Bobby actually donated all his time and efforts to record that, and then we donated all the proceeds to the Win Fund and the fundraiser there. So I'm really grateful that all the stars aligned and that you were such a pivotal part. Because I mean, Bobby too has just been such a huge pivotal part of my career, and I wouldn't have been able to put out that song without him, and really just kind of showed like how impactful for me music could be at such a young age.
I kind of figured that there was going to be kind of a flow to our discussion today, our chat. But
Yeah.
you've already talked about learning an Ozzy Osbourne song and the electric guitar and the connection with your dad. You're a rocker chick, aren't you?
Oh yeah, I think I get that from my dad. Because it didn't matter. Like my mom all had her music, and I mean she still liked that kind of stuff too. It didn't play as often as dad. And I mean, when you're just around that growing up, there's just like the nostalgia factor of it. And then I like fell in love with it more when I started to play that kind of music. Because it's just so fun to learn. And yeah, I find it even more fun to play rock than even listen to it. Like I love to listen to it, but to play it, it's just so much fun, so much energy. So yeah, it comes by honestly from dad. Didn't get any of like the singing abilities from my dad because my dad cannot sing to save himself, but the rock music was a trait that he definitely passed down. I mean, even listening to people like yourself on the air and stuff. So yeah.
I bet at some point your dad threw out a I, and Ozzy
Oh yeah,
Osbourne.
all the time, all the time. And that's why it was so funny when he brought up that bet because he's like, there's no way this, I think it was like 12 or 13. Yeah, it would have been 12 because by the time you're 13. So he's like, there's no way this, 12-year-old kid's gonna. And sure enough.
Well, and then the other thing too is your TikTok, which you are very active on. As a matter of fact, didn't you get a Country Music Alberta award for your social media sort of connection with your fans?
Yeah, that was crazy because I just fell into, I mean, I've always liked using social media as a tool to connect with people, and something that I've just kind of done throughout the years. But TikTok really obviously exploded over COVID, and there was nothing really else for me to do. I couldn't go play shows. I couldn't, so that was my only way to connect with people. And I honestly didn't even think people were really going to see my TikTok. So I was just posting, like, just sharing my journey, whether it was stuff from covers or learning the electric guitar. And I didn't even like put it under one of my regular usernames because I just like, oh, this is just going to be for fun. And then it took off, which was really cool. And then it was kind of a fun way for me to challenge myself and keep myself accountable. So I did lots of different guitar challenges. One of the ones that was more popular that I applied for that CCMA was I did a Thunderstruck guitar
Yeah.
challenge, and every day I played it a little bit faster and a little bit faster. And I can't remember what the last BPM I got to was, but I got it pretty fast, past the original. And it was a fun way, like, to interact with an audience, but it was also a cool way for me to practice and like I said before, like hold myself accountable. Like, okay, people are watching this now. I gotta, I gotta do it.
I watched the TikTok stuff with Thunderstruck, and I thought, what the heck is she doing? Like,
Yeah, I'm sure a lot of people are wondering. Well, that's a fun thing. Like, I don't know. Because genre wise, like everything I write and sing has always been in that country music umbrella, but I listen to everything, and I think there's so much to learn from other genres. So to me, it was just like a fun challenge, and it's actually something that I've even now incorporated into my live show. And I mean, you can't tell me like anytime someone hears Thunderstruck or Ozzy or those, like, they're just there's such classics that I feel like even if you don't listen to that kind of music, like you're gonna see some heads bopping, and it's just it's so fun. So
It's you almost have a pool you figure trying to have a bet as to who's going to go
right,
who's the person
yeah,
who's the,
and you
it's
always
an anthem.
yeah, it totally is an
Yeah.
anthem. And you like when we play it live, it's fun because you're like, oh yeah, well, we're gonna definitely get the dads with this one. But it is like so much of the females, people my age, like Gen Z audience, it just like loves it. And I just don't, yeah, I don't think there's like it's just like one of those universal songs that's like you said, an anthem.
Plus the fact that I was talking with Mike Plume and Clayton Bellamy and David Gogo, and we talk music and that sort of thing. The other thing too is having a variety of genres to, contribute to your style, and for you to, take this from that and take you want to okay, well. I like this aspect of, I don't know, maybe a Kurt Cobain sort of way that he presents something vocally. And then,
Right.
there's all kinds of things that you can glean from different artists and different genres that you can incorporate with your own style, adopt and make your own, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I've always used like the analogy of a painter when it comes to that kind of stuff. Like a painter could make a really nice picture with just the color red, uh, but there's all these other colors in the palette that you can use to make something really stand out and really be beautiful, and different shades, even different shades of red and stuff like that. And so I've always found music like that is that, you might primarily have one kind of thing, but there's so many different things to pull from to make something that's uniquely your own, which I think is really cool.
Talking about the rock and roll aspect and the growing up rock and roll and the role that your dad played in that, Jim, can I tell you a story about your dad?
Sure. Oh gosh, I
Uh,
don't know where this is going to go.
Two weird dads run into each other in the lighting aisle of a home improvement box store,
That sounds about right. Yeah.
and one is even more surprised to see the other, and that was me. And so it was your dad, and me. We're in the lighting aisle at Home Depot, and he was so excited, and I was so excited to see him because I think something had just happened with you. And I don't know if it was a trip to Nashville for one of your writing stints, or if it was one of the things that happened with one of the Country Music of Alberta awards or something. Anyway, something had just happened with you, and I said, "Oh my God, Hailey is like knocking it out of the park right now." And your dad, Jim, goes, "Are you kidding? Riley just played Coachella and or just
Oh,
played Lollapalooza or whatever." So I was gushing about you. He was gushing about
oh,
my son. And we were losing our minds right there in the lighting section
oh,
of
I wish
Home
that was
Depot.
on video. That's like the sweetest. Also, for like that interaction to happen at like a Home Depot type thing is, I feel like that, yeah, that's perfect. But yeah,
Yeah.
I was so excited to see Riley playing Coachella. I mean, it's huge. It's really cool just to see like these community of musicians, chasing their dreams. And that's so fun. We love the supportive dads out there.
Well, even the support of dads and the support of everybody else. When I was talking with Clayton Bellamy, he said something that I thought was really profound. He says, "A rising tide raises all boats."
I love that quote. I've heard Prairie States use that as well, and I use that one quite often. I've stole that from them. I think that's yeah, sums it up perfectly.
How you were 9 years old the first time you played? Was it one of the tents at BVJ?
Yes, yeah, 9 or 10, and that's when I really started to pursue music, kind of outside of just singing it for fun. I When I was 6, I started to take lessons, and so I do like the recitals and all of that. And then it was really cool growing up. There was a lot of stages for youth artists to participate on, whether they were competitions or they were just some sort of showcase. And so Big Valley Jamboree was one of those major ones every summer. It was called the Road to Main Stage competition, and now I think it's just called the Horizon Stage. But at the time, it was a competition, and so with that, there was different layers all leading up to to perform at BVJ that you had to get through, but then they also did like mentoring sessions. And yeah, my first year, I think I sang a Taylor Swift like Safe and Sound. I had like a pink tutu dress. It was really something. But it was so cool. I mean, that was honestly where I really discovered country music, and I was like, what is this sound? Like, I absolutely love it. And then it just slowly became a tradition every year that I participated in that competition, and then it turned into just like a family thing with all of us going every year and listening to the music over the weekend. And it was such a launching pad for my career because of that opportunity, and to give me that kind of that stage at such a young age was really cool.
So tell me about this. See, let me know if I'm right or if I'm off or if I'm way off or whatever. You're 9 years old. You know, you've taken guitar lessons for a little bit after getting your first guitar, which we will touch on in a second.
Mm-hmm.
And then you're 9 years old. And when you're 9 years old and you start singing and playing guitar, a lot of the reaction is, oh, she's so cute. Isn't that cute?
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden you're 12, 13, and 14 years old and you become a teenager. And that's where other kids' opinions start getting into the fray of things.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe it's not all, oh, she's so cute. Maybe did you find there was a lot of stuff happening with the kids? Because let's face
Mm-hmm.
it, when you're a musician, when you're in band, when you're putting yourself out there, when you're singing, when you're that vulnerable, you are susceptible to criticism, especially from your peers. Did that happen with you?
Yeah, absolutely. I'd say it happened even earlier when I just would participate in like the kids' talent show, and there was a thing called St. Albert Idol that they used to do, and so how they would audition all the kids was going to the schools. And I remember I was getting up to sing, and I had like I was like 9 at the time, and someone had told me, that was supposedly one of my friends at the time, but it was like, they were like, do not go up there. Everyone's going to make fun of you. It's going to be bad. And I just remember being in tears. And I had this music teacher at the time. Her name was Mrs. Kelly, and I still love her. She's amazing. But she was like, do not listen to them. You got to go up there and keep singing. And it just became kind of like a similar theme of, whether I'd receive that kind of stuff in person or online. And to me, it was so confusing because I loved music, and the same ways some of my peers loved hockey or their other, like, it was just a different interest. And I like never really realized until I started to get older that it just like wasn't a cool thing to do. I still don't know why it isn't, because I think it's just, I don't know, it's like a form of creative, I guess, expression. And I think there's some jealousy factor with kids and stuff, which is unfortunate. And yeah, it was definitely really difficult, but it was also, I felt like it could have been something where I took it and I could have quit immediately. But instead of leaving music, I actually ran more to it. And so as I was dealing with those things, that's how I wrote my first song, was writing about kind of just against bullies and everything when I was 9. And music, even though it was what was making me kind of targeted in a way, it was also like my safe place away from it all, which is like an interesting juxtaposition. But it's funny now too. I mean, obviously I still experience criticism, and I think it's definitely helped me kind of build a little bit of a backbone, especially online. And things like TikTok have been mostly positive, but you're always going to get people that have nothing better to do. And so it's definitely given me a thick skin. So I'm kind of grateful for it in a way. But yeah, it's interesting why that. And I talk to so many musicians, and they all have very similar stories and paths. So yeah, sadly, but I think it does kind of prep you in a weird way for the business a little bit.
Well, I mean, look at you. You're sitting there in Nashville right now.
Yeah, which is crazy. Something that like I wish I could tell little me, like it's all gonna be worth it. Just hang in there a little bit. So
Well, since you mentioned little me and you were talking about growing up with music
Mhm.
and your first performance at BBJ at 9 and dealing with the things that you had to deal with, through your teens to the point now where you're in your early 20s. You went from singing at the St. Albert Inn to
Yeah.
all of a sudden you're in Nashville. Why don't we just remember this? Let's see if you can remember this.
Oh my gosh! Guitar lessons, January 9th to June 2012. Merry Christmas, kiddo. We hope you love it. Love always, Mom and Dad. Oh. Gosh, thank you! Guitar lessons!
Oh, yeah.
That's Christmas morning. I'm guessing 2011 because your guitar lessons were coming up starting in January of 2012.
Yeah, I had to specifically say that in the video. I find it funny that I emphasis on 2012. Yeah, that was the start of a very fun journey, and I'm really blessed that my parents, a lot of the times for Christmas or birthdays or things, that they really sacrifice a lot for both my sister and I to be able to have experiences. And that was always kind of a thing. Like my mom would rather us do something that was like an experience or a learning opportunity rather than like get things. And so, yeah, that year for Christmas, I got guitar lessons. And at the time I had like a really cheap, couple years ago, that my grandpa, I think, had got me, or my grandparents, it was like a Hannah Montana, like Walmart guitar. And so my papa played by ear a little bit. So he was showing me a few things, but I really just wanted to like get my hands on guitar. And I started in piano, and I liked piano, but it was way more structured. And I just thought guitar was so much cooler. And so, yeah, that after that Christmas, got to go my first lessons, and I walked in with that Hannah Montana guitar, and then the teacher told me that I needed I needed something a little bit better than that if I wanted to keep practicing. So that's where the addiction all started. So
That's great.
Mhm.
We'll be right back.
This podcast brought to you by The Terry Evans Show with Pete Potipko from 5 till 9 Monday through Friday on Edmonton's classic rock, K97. If you are in the Edmonton market, listen at 97.3 on your FM dial. Otherwise, listen live at k97.ca.
Reluctantly.
Well, you brought up family. We talked a little bit about your dad. Well, let's talk about October of 2024. This has been a bit of a nutty month for you, hasn't it?
Whew. Yeah, that's a perfect word for it. I think nutty. Yeah, it has.
There's been everything. Well, I mean, if we take it back to September of 2024, we're talking about the Canadian Country Music Awards.
Mhm.
Let's start with that.
Yeah. So the CCMAs this year was in Edmonton, which was great. It's fun because I remember the last time I was in Edmonton, which I'd say is like I think it was like a decade or more, and I couldn't get tickets to that. And I remember I think we were offered seat fillers from somebody, and then they got snatched up before we could say yes. So I remember watching it on my TV when I was a kid, back when I was in Edmonton. So it was really fun that it was back in Edmonton this year, and I got to celebrate a nomination for Breakthrough Artist of the Year, and getting to celebrate that with my family in Edmonton, but then also just the community, which has been so wonderful and has supported me in a lot of ways. Yeah, it was so exciting and just a jam-packed week.
And you got to present an award too, did you not?
Oh,
On the
yes.
telecast?
Yes, I did, which was super cool. I mean, I love getting to do stuff like that. And it's also really cool just to see how something like that, like, I think we often take for granted programs like that and don't realize all the little things that have to go on behind the scenes for a show to be broadcast and run so smoothly. So it's really neat getting to actually be backstage and seeing all the hair and makeup artists and all the volunteers and everyone that's all the crew and stuff that's making all these set changes happen. And I just get a deeper appreciation for all the work that goes behind an event like this.
If we go back prior to September, you had an extremely busy summer with festivals. It was such an exciting part of the full circle you talk about was being able to play the main stage at BVJ in Camrose, Big Valley Jamboree. That must have been just surreal for you. Did you? That was the same day that Lainey Wilson was playing, wasn't it?
Yes, yeah, very surreal. I haven't missed a year of Big Valley. Like I've gone every year except for obviously the years that were closed because of COVID. But it was really a dream come true, and it was extra special because my guitar player Josh Rozicki and drummer Brad Durand. The first time I played with them was in the trade show inside at BVJ. And that's where I first met my guitar player Josh, was through that Road to Main Stage competition. So the first time we played as a band was at Big Valley, and then getting to come back this summer and play the main stage, and not even just play like a couple songs, like getting to play a full hour set was such a dream and such a full circle moment. And just because, not only as there's so many memories there and it's been a lifelong dream, but also that it is as close to like a hometown festival that I can get. So all the love and support from Camrose and area and my family and friends, it was a really special day.
Country Thunder as well. Oh, you even got to go to Paris this year too, didn't you?
Yes, we did. Paris, Ontario, not to
Yeah,
confuse the listeners, which
not
is,
the
so
other Paris.
cool. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, it was awesome. Like, yeah, Country Thunder was another huge highlight. We started our first festival was Cavendish on the East Coast, which we'd never been, and so we started the summer on the East Coast, and then actually played all across Canada and finished the summer on the West Coast. And our last show was in Victoria for the summer, so it was quite cool to literally go from coast to coast this past summer and meet so many wonderful people.
And if you look at it now, so I'm thinking back a year from now, or sorry, a year ago, right about now. It's close to the anniversary. You were doing the Campfire Troubadour tour
Yeah.
with Tim Hicks.
Yes.
And at that time, and that's coming up at the end of October, beginning of November, it'll be a year. So pretty
Crazy.
much a year ago, you were doing the huge tour of Alberta. And then just months later, you're touring across the country.
Yeah, that's actually such a great point. It's crazy what a year and time can do, and experiences like that with Tim. It was so wonderful getting to perform for all these different crowds, and I just learned so much even from his show. So it was definitely a cool experience to have that, and then be able to kind of take that and learn from it to prepare for all these summer shows for sure.
With Big Valley Jamboree, you talked about not missing one except for the COVID years.
Yeah.
And I've read interviews that you've done and seen things that you've mentioned, how it really was a family outing, a family sort of thing. It was like a vacation. You all went there, and it was
Yeah.
just amazing. Um, this year, it must have been absolutely incredible. We talked about your dad, and let's talk about your mom. It must have been
Mhm.
amazing for her to see you on the big stage.
Oh yeah. I mean, both my parents have been so supportive, but especially my mom. She's been my rock throughout all of this, and has never wavered in her support. And so, I mean, I love my dad, but like he's not
But
gonna know what to put me in for like outfits on stage, and he wasn't gonna curl my hair, so mom would sit there and curl my hair when I couldn't, and find me outfits and drive me to, she really gave up her career and everything for my sister and I. She was a stay-at-home mom, and so she drove us to, like lessons, and just spent countless hours or just like waiting for us to, get out of these rehearsals or whatever it was. She was really there through it all. And I'm really lucky that I had her with me to navigate, because the music industry is a lot to navigate. I think being an adult, let alone being a kid. And most people are great, but it's also can be a little bit daunting. And some people try and take advantage of young green artists. So I'm really lucky that my mom always had my back, and was such a huge, and still is, such a huge part of what I do. And she was never musical, but just I think it's really important as musicians or artists to find, whether it's your parents or but just finding that kind of support to build around you, because it can be a little bit of an isolating journey, pursuing a music career.
With that as a passion and helping you through it, she's also people who are a little tighter with your family, a little closer to your community, know that she's been dealing with her cancer diagnosis. And that has been a big part of what you are, all you, McKenna, Jim, and Brandy are all going through right now, isn't it?
Yeah, it was a huge shock for our family. It just so she has stage 3 melanoma, and we're happy to say that it's stage 3 melanoma that's been resected. So she had a surgery, and she's still on treatment till February. But her last PET scan was clear. But with melanoma, you have to keep going for PET scans. So for 5 years before she can officially be in remission, they all have to be clear for 5 years. But yeah, it was about December of last year, and hers was atypical. It didn't show up. Normally, it was a bruise on her side, and so really none of us were really thinking anything of it. And then we got this, huge diagnosis, and it was metastatic as well. So just learning all about that. And my mom's really like the rock for my whole family. And what also the people didn't know at the time, and now I've been starting to kind of to share. But the day that we also found out about the cancer, earlier that day, I had just signed a record deal with Big Loud and Local Hay Records, and just signed the contract. We were all celebrating, and then literally a few hours later, we just got this her heavy diagnosis. And yeah, it was just a lot of emotions. And the first thing I was like, I've just signed this deal. Like, how am I supposed to leave my mom in the most difficult time of her life? But the first thing she said to me and my sister was like, you guys aren't putting anything on hold because of this. And same with my dad. Like, it would make me feel worse if you stop chasing your dreams. And my mom's usually right about everything, but I was like, I don't know about this, Mom. Like, but even then, like, she's always been so selfless. But even in that moment, she was, when I'm sure so scary and so many feelings, like she was even selfless then. And I think that just speaks to like what a beautiful person she is. And like my sister and I have a lot to look up to with her. Like, we're just so grateful to have her in our lives. And we're very grateful that obviously that this scan came clear like a month ago, and hopefully that trend continues. But it's cancer really affects so many people. It's like not even just the person that has it. And my mom said this lots. It's such a ripple effect. And my mom has kind of likened it like we all have the cancer. It just shows up in different ways. And the more we've talked about the story, we've also, come across a lot of people that have gone through similar things. And it really does impact so many people. So yeah, it's been quite a year, and a lot of emotions, but we're really grateful for where her health's at right now.
Your little 5-minute video that you had on your social media to express what was happening in your life and your family's lives at that time was so heartbreaking and powerful all at the same time. As I was getting ready to talk with you today, I found like combining you playing when you were 12 years old at the Win benefit, and then seeing the video of you opening your Christmas gift, and then watching the video of you talking about the record deal and your mom's diagnosis. I was a mess. sitting
Yeah.
at my desk. And it's not the first time that you've done that to me either.
Oh, I'm sorry. I should send you some Kleenex or something as a as I'm sorry gift. But yeah, it's been quite the journey, and I think it's also important as like artists, and obviously like sharing this all with my mom's blessing and everything, but to also know that there's as much as there's these incredible highs, and it can, especially social media, we can look at it all and just be like, wow, like everything looks like it's going so right. But I think especially for me, at least in my journey, I've always wanted to showcase all the parts of the human experience. And part of that is some of the awesome things, but also there's other parts that are happening simultaneously that can be really difficult. That everyone goes through different battles and journeys, and I think it's important to show all the different facets of that.
When you were talking about your mom, you said, your mom said, "Don't you dare let this hold you back."
Yeah.
And then you made reference to something that your mom's usually right. And I
Yeah.
know that the song was written before that instance, but you talked about the record deal with Big Loud and Local Hay. Um, and things my mama said, which again, that song, and I even sent you a message on your Facebook page saying I'm sitting here at my desk with tears in my eyes, and you sent me the two thank you emojis. But it's so exciting to have your first single on Big Loud and Local Hay, and
Yeah.
it's like when I talked about how's your October, because just the other day we find out that it's the most added song in Canadian country music for the week on Canadian country radio.
Yeah, so wild. And yeah, this song is definitely one of the more personal songs I've ever released. Sometimes I write from, things I've seen or experienced. But this was as true as it could get for me. And so when I originally wrote it, I didn't think that it was, going to even go anywhere, but I started to play it live and just seeing how people were resonating with it. And the label really loved it. And so I was, really grateful that they also wanted to support me putting out something that was so personal and that I was, really proud of, but that was real and honest. And so the fact that, that's being celebrated and other people resonating with that on Canadian radio has made my heart really so full. Because I mean, that's kind of the cool part about releasing music is it's really personal to you writing it at the time, but then once you release it, it's not yours anymore. It's for everyone else. And so just to get to even hear people's stories about how they're relating it to their relationships with their own moms or mother figures has been really special.
At some times, do you have to just kind of grab your head and stop it from spinning?
Yeah, it's hard because I think like especially as artists or like creative individuals, we're just like so excited to be like, okay, what's next? What's next? And I'm really trying to take moments and reflect on all of it because while it is so busy and nutty as you called it, it's also really important to like soak these moments in. And I always try and think of that little girl that was singing with her pink tutus and too big of a guitar. If I could tell her now like that this is what's happening, to remind myself of like why I'm doing this, like I can't imagine what her reaction would be. Like, you have your own place in Nashville and you're making it work, and it's going to be a lot of ups and downs, but it's going to be worth it. And yeah, I think it's important to take those moments every once in a while to just soak it in, because it's so easy to just get caught up in all the craziness and stuff. So yeah, I'm really grateful for everything that's happened. And I know also this is also just like it's like the next phase. It's like the next start. This is just the beginning of like really putting the groundwork in, and now this is kind of like the next level of even more hard work and all of that. But I really believe that if you have a passion for it, then you'll make it work somehow. But it's not always gonna be easy.
That's a really great point because okay, yeah, you started with a guitar at 6 and BVJ songwriters tent at 9, and then main stage at 2021, and you got a record deal with Big Loud and Local Hay, and but that's such a great point because. You got the record deal. That doesn't mean you're done. That means you
Oh
have
yeah.
starting blocks now to
Yeah.
keep going on the next.
Yeah, and I think people also think like, oh, like you're gonna get the record deal, and then everything from there is like happily ever after, and but it's like that's not how it works. I mean, I love Lainey Wilson's story because she came to Nashville. I think like when she was really young. I don't want to say like I could be wrong on this, but like 14, 15. She was here for like 15 years plus before things finally started to happen for her. And even when she signed her deal, like she was putting out music, she put out a whole record that was doing well, but like certainly not to the extent of what her new stuff is at. And so, yeah, I just think it's a good reminder like the grind never really stops. And it's just like, it's just new. Yeah, it's just a new chapter now. And you have like, I'm so grateful that there's these resources in place, but it's also, now that there are these resources, you have to be even more a little bit smart on how you're gonna move forward with that and really try and make the most of the opportunity that's been presented.
We'll be right back.
This podcast, reluctantly, brought to you by Just for Feet. Just for Feet, just around the corner from the Sally Ann. No pants, no hats, no jackets. None of that stuff's for feet. Just for Feet. Don't come to us looking for gloves.
Reluctantly.
You mentioned that you're in your apartment. I was going to ask you, so are you apartment shopping in Nashville? But apparently you beat me to it. You're already there.
Yes, yeah, it kind of came a little bit like I knew I wanted to be down here more, and so I was looking at opportunities, and then one of the places that I was supposed to stay kind of fell through last minute. So I didn't even get to see this place in person. Like I toured it on Zoom, and I just started with like a 3-month lease, and I loved it. And so now I've got the 1 year lease, which is really exciting. And it's been slow start. Like I just built a TV stand yesterday. That was a 2-person build, but I did it all by myself. I got 2 patio chairs from Amazon, and of course the most like essential apartment need, an air fryer. So it's been a slow start, and it's been hard because with my mom's health and stuff, we're not sure what she's able to travel and everything. So nobody's actually seen my new place. So it feels weird to like have this, this place here without any of the people closest to me not seeing it or contributing in some way. I'm not great with like the decorating or anything either, but it's also been really exciting to like take those steps forward and just start to like create a little bit of a life here, which
Yeah,
is
I was going to say I'm looking behind you. So you could use some of your some of those posters yeah, and that's another thing I was going to bring up. These festival posters and so on. That's something else that happened over the course of this summer and into the fall is your name isn't last on the festival poster anymore.
that's wild. Yeah, that was something crazy this summer. It's usually sometimes it's you don't even make the poster. Like you come in like the week before, you'll get like and also, and it's like in the tiniest letters, and like my parents are like, I need my glasses. So it was cool to be like, oh, okay, like we've moved up, like actually moved up, and I've got a little bit bigger font. My parents, that's how you know you've made it. If if your parents don't need their glasses to to read your name on the lineup. Um, but no, to even just be on the poster, and like what's also been cool is like the shirts and everything sold at these festivals. Like that's a really cool keepsake for me, is getting the Big Valley shirt that had the lineup and my name's on there. It's pretty surreal.
You go to these festivals and perform, but you are as much a fan of the other performers
Oh yeah.
as anybody else in the crowd, right?
Absolutely. I'm a music artist, but I've been a music lover first and always. And the I mentioned earlier that my parents tried to give us more experiences growing up, and so like one of the gifts that we got when we were kids, it was my very first concert. Was like a Justin Bieber concert when I was like 6 or something, but it was like last minute kind of thing that we went, but I just like fell in love with just like yeah, being a fan and being a listener. And I love getting to perform at these festivals to get to watch these other artists, because to me that's just like it's like a master class in the sense of like all these artists from across Canada or beyond, and getting to see how they connect with artists. I just think there's or with the fans, I think there's just so much to learn from watching other artists do what they love. And also it's just fun. I love to get to experience music, especially live music. There's nothing like it.
Since you're talking about going to concerts, let's here listen to this.
What's the dream job in life?
Be a singer-songwriter.
Can we get a guitar or something?
I feel like we have to be pretending.
Wow. Yeah?
How's it going?
Really good. How have you been?
Great.
Excellent.
Yeah. You had asked me what I want to be, and I said a singer-songwriter, and you gave me that opportunity that kind of ignited my career and was a catalyst. And so I just signed my first publishing deal in
Nice.
Nashville and a record deal with Big Loud Records.
Unbelievable.
You helped that and inspired me, and I just want to say thank you for giving me that stage.
Of course.
Yeah.
I trust you. If it wasn't me, it would have been somebody else. When you're ready, you're ready. It's amazing. Congrats.
Keith, again, that I get emotional because it is so unbelievable.
Yeah, that whole experience, yeah, unbelievable is a perfect word. And I remember I'm pretty sure after that I came to do like an interview with you on air like after that, and that was pretty cool, like just getting to go to all these different stations and talk about what happened. But yeah, that happened when I was 14 with my sister and I, and we just made like guitar shaped sparkly signs. It didn't even say, because lots of people were like, oh, did it say like I want to sing with you? Like we just made signs because we love the album, and we did know that like sometimes he points them out, and sometimes he might bring you up on stage and like give you a hug. So we just thought like, because that night he pointed them out, and we're like, oh, that's gonna be like the highlight of our year. Keith Urban saw our posters from the stage, and we'll go home and that'll be everything. And then he brought us up, and then that happened, and it was completely surreal and crazy. And then he shared it on all his social media pages, and it just like it snowballed into this thing that none of us could have ever expected it was going to be. And then at Big Valley Jamboree, I got to be reunited with him, and that's something I've always wanted to kind of be able to do, is thank him and give him an update on my career. And I got to kind of spill the beans about my record deal to him, and it was such a special moment, because I think without that experience, like it really showed me that it was possible to do music as a career, and to give me that stage and take a chance on that 14-year-old kid. Like when he handed me that guitar, like I could have went up there and like absolutely like bombed it. Like it could have been so bad. But he just gave this wide-eyed dreamer kid, a guitar and a chance to sing, especially their own song at that too. And that was huge for me. So I was always been so grateful for him and that opportunity. And so to get to share him this update, like I probably wouldn't be here today without that. So yeah, it was really special.
For people listening or watching, you can go to Hailey's Facebook page and scroll through, and you can see that video. The greatest thing is the look on McKenna's face, your sister's face.
I love that so much.
When he says, "Let's get her a guitar," and that split second right there was everything.
Oh, I know. I still watch it because I just think her reaction is like the cutest, and like it's so funny because you can see like he's like, "Can we get a guitar?" and like all the blood like leaves her face because she's like in shock. And then if you watch the whole video, it's like the sweetest thing because he's got his arm around her and she's like singing the words in the background like nervously. She knew the words to my song, and so she's like, she talked about it afterwards. She's like, I was like panicked that you would like somehow forget it. So she's like nervously singing, hoping that that I don't forget any of the words. And her and I have been always like best friends. Like, yeah, where I like Kenna and I are just like tied at the hip. So it was really also cool that we got to share that moment together, and her reaction is my one of my favorite things in the world, and I'm so lucky that's captured on camera to watch that.
And well, yeah, and you'll have it forever.
Yeah.
It's awesome. So you were 14 at the time. Kenna would have been
12.
12. Okay, so leading up, we saw what happened when Keith Urban brings you up. He hands you a guitar. You sing a little bit of your song, and everybody goes bananas. It's 20,000 people. And was that not like the first concert at Rogers Place?
Yeah, it was. It was the very first concert, the opening night for Rogers Place, which is wild. And it's funny, I had this like bet with my family. Like I had this reoccurring dream that I was going to play Rexall, which was the old stadium there in Edmonton, arena in Edmonton. And I would always say, I'm gonna play Rexall. I'm gonna play Rexall. And yeah, right. And then and then Rexall was torn down, and literally like this is a conversation we had at my dinner table, and my family's like, well, you didn't get to play Rexall. And I was like, I'm going to play Rogers. And then I played the opening night, which is crazy. So I feel like maybe I like spoke it out into the universe, or there's some sort of weird manifestation with that.
Your sister McKenna, 2 years younger than you, and I've seen multiple videos of the two of you singing together. Was there, I mean, you sound beautiful together. The harmony, the voices just match up so nicely. So there's just that little bit, I don't know if it's an entire octave or if I'm even describing it properly, but accentuate each other so well. Have you recorded together, or is it a consideration, or did she go down a different road? Was it because she was in gymnastics, was she not?
Yeah, so she was a competitive gymnast. So she's always been the athletic one. I did not get that gene. But she's also been like a huge music lover. Like same thing as me, like when we go to concerts, like we go together. Her and I and sometimes I think she even loves it more than I do. Like she listens to it, whether she's in her car, cleaning her room, like all the time. And she's always singing around the house, but she's wanted nothing to do with being on stage or anything like that. And I've always thought like she's never had a lesson or anything. And she just has this naturally like really cool, like lower raspy voice. And so it started with my TikTok, and I just was like, she can't pick up the harmony, but she can always sing like the melody. So I was like, I'll just sing the harmony. So I just like sneakily like sing it on top of her when she was like singing in the shower, and then she's like, what's going on? And so then TikTok,
Who's in here?
Yeah. And with TikTok, I was like, okay, let's just film it. We don't like have to post it. She's like, okay, well, I don't want to be in the frame of the camera. And I was like, okay, you can
especially if she's in the shower. It's
like, yeah, that would be problematic.
It's kind of like Elf. Remember with
really can't say. Yeah, I was Buddy the Elf. Exactly like that. But yeah, no, this was actually in our kitchen. And so then I was like, you don't have to be in the camera, but like, I'll just sing over top of you. So it started off, and I was like, I sang harmony on top. I was like, Kenna, this sounds good. And she's like, no. And I was like, can I post it? She's like, she's so scared. And so I said in the like caption, like, here I am harmonizing with my sister. She doesn't want to be on camera, but like, show her some love, like basically to like show her like, this is awesome. And that was like one of my very first viral TikTok videos. And so then ever since then, she was like, oh, okay, maybe I'm not as bad as I think. And then slowly I was like, I got her from being off camera to then being in camera, but then she'd be closing her eyes the whole time. And now she's at the point where she's like, can we do can we do like a little cover of something on your TikTok? And she's fully in camera, she's smiling. And I've even at Big Valley Jamboree this past year, she went, and it's just been like a bucket list item for her that she wanted to get up and just do the like karaoke there. And they usually have that karaoke competition. She didn't enter it, but she got up and sang, and they loved her so much that they were like, we'd like to, she didn't even enter it, but they were like, we loved you so much, we want to send you right to the finals. And
Oh,
I was like,
wow.
see, McKenna. And then she dropped out of the finals. And she's like,
What?
well, yes. I was like, dude, you know, like how that's so impressive. Like there's people that like are actually like really trying to get in, and you just walked up and got in. But she was like, this was, she'd never sang on a stage before, and she was like, it's way harder than I thought it was going to be. Like, oh my gosh. Like, and it's funny because she's always like, why do you do this on stage? Why do you? She's like, I get it now. But maybe, who knows? I'm just thinking it's just like in slow increments. Maybe I can like work her up to doing either something on stage or in a recording. Like that would make my heart so full. But who knows? I'm just glad
Keep,
I get her on some 20-second TikToks at the
yeah.
moment. So
Better just start with the hair flip.
yeah, exactly. Yes.
I know you recently did an interview with Country in the UK.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if it's a magazine or a digital magazine or what it is. I'm not sure if you have also gone back and looked at it with their post. Did you see who your post, who you're beside?
Oh, I don't know if I did. No.
If you go on to their Instagram
Yeah.
page and you click on, you just open up their page. So
Yeah.
don't click on your specific interview, but if you click on
Okay.
yours is the most recent, and right
Uh-huh.
beside it is Jelly Roll.
That's crazy. Oh my gosh. So I didn't see that yet. Oh my gosh. That's wild.
Yeah.
And it's just crazy to me too that that's my music starting to reach beyond North America. Like I mean, I've always wanted to go to the UK, and that's somewhere that it's still like it's on my bucket list to be able to go there and play. But yeah, that's wild.
With your Things My Mama Said, the single with the record deal, is there an album in the works? How is that? Is there talks of that or whatever? Do people record albums, or is that like a boomer thing, or like what's happening now?
No. That's another one of my dreams is to just like put out sonically cohesive piece of work. But there's one thing, like you can't ever get back your debut album. And so I really just want to make sure that it's songs that I love just as much as this recent one that I've put out. And so I've just been writing a ton, and that's mainly what I've been doing down in Nashville is writing with all sorts of different collaborators, some old, but a lot of new collaborators, a lot of young women my age, which has been really cool, that are really passionate about music and just as hungry for trying to have a career for them, more in the songwriting realm. So I've really just been experimenting and like finding my song or sound. And we have another song that might be in the bank recorded that I'm really excited to share soon. And yeah, definitely working towards that first piece of art and just making sure it's the best it can be for when that all comes together. But I've been sitting on so many songs, so I feel like we're getting close.
That's great to hear. I'm so incredibly proud of you.
Oh, thanks,
I,
Terry.
I think it's terrific, and I wish you so much success. And I wish all the love in the world to your mom, Brandy, your dad, Jim, your sister, McKenna, and everybody else in the family. And I can't wait to see you. It's one thing to have a post on Country in the UK Instagram, but I hope one day to see you sitting in a chair next to Jelly Roll at the Grammys or
Oh,
the Country Music Association Awards down in the States or something like that, because I've talked to a lot of people. There's so many people in your corner, so many people rooting for you, and they know exactly how determined you are and passionate you are, and they can see it coming.
oh, well, thank you, Terry. I really appreciate that. And thank you for being such a huge support of not only my career, but just live music and musicians and artists like myself. Like to have people like you championing us throughout the years has really meant a lot. And like, yeah, you've been part of this thing from almost the very beginning. So I've just appreciated all of your support along the way. And it's like we were saying before, it's fun even getting like seeing your son play Coachella and just all these things. Yeah, but I really appreciate you, and I appreciate you having me on today. It's always wonderful getting to chat with you.
Okay, I'll let you go get go to Martin's barbecue. It's delicious.
Ooh, yes, I do. Or Peg Leg Porker. Have you ever been there?
No, I'm not sure if I've gone to that one, but up and
Okay, that's
down.
like the best barbecue in Nashville. If there's anyone
Is that?
listening also planning their trip, that's like, in my opinion, no offense to
Yeah.
the Martin's is good, but like Peg Leg Porker is where it's at.
All right.
Yeah.
Hailey Benedict, thank you so much for being here with me today.
Thank you for having me, Terry. This is wonderful.
Reluctantly.
Today's show brought to you by HaileyBenedictMusic.com. Hailey's first single on Big Loud Records, Local Hay, Things My Mama Says, available on all your streaming services right now.
Reluctantly.